Do it.
I did. We are live.
Mhm.
Yay.
So, I started playing that Rogue Tower game.
Sorry.
Well, I
Really
played it.
lock in on this discussion now.
Yeah, I played it a couple of times that first night, and I did so at it. Like I'm still kind of learning my way around the. Oh yeah, shit! You can upgrade your towers. Like that was a
Manually.
game changer for me once I knew I could start doing that. Like
Mhm.
I started getting a lot better at it. Then, like last night, I could not sleep. I went to bed, then got up in the middle of the night and couldn't sleep. So, I'm like, I'll just goof around on this once or twice just to
Mhm.
get myself relaxed and then go back to bed.
Then the sun
So,
came up.
I was playing around and I'm like, I think I fucked up my spread of the upgrades,
Mhm.
the XP upgrades. So I'm gonna reset it. So I reset it and I was like, oh
Oh.
no, I lost everything.
Mhm.
All right, well, I'll play a game and played the best game that I'd ever
Mhm.
played. I got to like level 30 or something
Mhm.
like that. Like I had never gotten past like level 10 before. So I
Mhm.
just got a metric shit ton of XP from that, which before we just started, I just went and spent all of it. So
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
anxious to play again after this just to see how it plays out after I've done that.
That soundtrack kicks ass, doesn't it?
I do like it. Yeah.
It's so good.
A lot of times I will just mute game soundtracks just because like
Mhm.
it gets old and I'm like
Mhm.
I'd rather just play something that I want to listen to instead. But I actually
Mhm.
like that soundtrack.
It's really good.
I've been playing Hades this week, which has a really great soundtrack.
It does. That's a great game.
It's been lots
Have
of fun.
you beaten it? Mm.
I just started. I'm happy to get close to beating Meg.
Mhm. Yeah. Once you beat her the first time, you feel something deep in your loins.
I
Deep in your loins.
believe it. Yeah, it's a fun setup. I like it. I hadn't known anything about it before going in, except that people liked it.
Yeah,
That
no, it's
apparently
really good.
was right.
Also, if you're into tower defense games, Mitch, which I know you are,
I am.
that Rogue Tower is pretty good
It is
for
Oh,
$10 or whatever it was.
15.
yeah. Based on what you already said while you were talking, I went and got that for Steam.
Yeah, yeah,
It takes the slightest suggestion that I should play something from okay.
yeah. It's worth it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I cannot get past level 40. I had a full unlock of everything. And then earlier today, I just reset it all. Just
Wow.
wiped out every single card I had. Because there are a couple of buildings I don't use.
Mm.
Like, I don't ever use that stupid electrical tower.
Yeah, I tried it and it didn't seem to do a lot for me.
Hmm.
Like I picked it up as part of the game I was playing last night. It was one of the cards I got. I was like, oh, that looks cool. Let me try that. Like, it didn't really do a whole lot. So
Yeah, I wanted to try out all the buildings. Uh, and then realized, oh, I don't use this building ever. And it just takes up a slot in my upgrade deck,
mm.
which becomes an issue after like level 25.
Oh.
Like, because you keep drawing cards for buildings you use,
Hmm.
and then the buildings you don't use, you draw a bunch of those cards, and it's like, great.
Ah, so I probably just screwed everything up by buying a bunch of shit the way I did. So that's fine.
Uh, nah, you gotta get a feel for what
Yeah.
your strat's gonna be. There's apparently achievements for only beating the game with a single type of building.
Hmm.
All of them, which I don't even know how you can possibly do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you play any of the Pillars of Eternity games?
I have not.
I have not either.
Oh, it's like Baldur's Gate. It's that style of game.
Hmm.
there are so many choices in the character creation that like I restarted like a dozen times. I'm like, wait, maybe I should use a pistol, and like or whatever. Like it just went on and on in my head. There's lots of fun. There's great voice acting in it from a Kickstarter game.
Where are you, Steam? Killer. Oh wait, hold on. I own this already.
Right.
I own both of these already.
Whoops.
God.
You must have thought about it.
Yeah, now that I look it up, I remember this game coming out. I did not play it, but I remember it coming out.
You know, I loved the Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment and all those games, and this has that kind of feel, kind of the dark fantasy world.
I do still like Planescape Torment.
Mm-hmm. Those are fun games.
So many fucking games. Oh my god. Oh. All right. Okay. So next week we're doing what's its face?
Werewolves Within.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, let's get started. Hey, this is Tony.
Hi, it's Mitch.
And this is David.
We are the Backseat Producers. And tonight we're going to talk about Nightmare Alley.
I'm hoping this discussion goes for 3 hours.
I mean, it would be a half an hour longer than the movie was.
I know. I want to feel like the discussion we had was longer than the movie, which felt interminably long.
So, David, what else did you think about the movie?
I disliked this film.
All right. Mitch, what did you think?
Oh, I liked lots of things about the movie, but I didn't like it for 2.5 hours.
Tony?
I liked the movie and I didn't mind the length, but it should have been cut for pacing.
Mm-hmm.
There was some pacing issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one thing I really liked was the setting. Like, I like the 40s carnival scene, like for the first act of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was really fun. Like, I was into that.
Yeah, I thought that was just what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then that was going to be the movie.
And
then it changed.
And then it was different by a lot.
Yeah.
It was different by a lot.
Was different by a lot. And I don't think better by a lot. We abandoned many good things like Willem Dafoe and Ron Perlman.
Mm-hmm.
We did add Cate Blanchett.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Jenkins.
And that dude from Manhunter.
And that dude from Manhunter, yeah.
And that dude from and Mary Steenburgen.
Uh-huh.
And David Hewlett was in there. With a little McKay from Stargate and Stargate Atlantis. I feel like there was one more.
Well, in the first half, there was Bobby from Supernatural.
Oh, yep. Jim Beaver.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I mean, it did have like a big cast.
A monstrous cast.
Mm-hmm. Of talent. Like, I think they did a great job at their stuff.
There was like 6 Oscar-nominated actors in that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this picked up some Oscar nominations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have not looked at the Oscar nominations.
They are not wildly exciting.
Mm-mm.
I heard that Don't Look Up was nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
And that surprised me.
Best Picture.
You know what? I enjoyed the film, but that surprised me.
Well, Tony, when you got 10 movies and it's a pandemic year, 10 movies is a lot of movie slots to fill.
Yeah, but from what I also hear, Spider-Man No Way Home was not among them.
It was not among
And
them.
that was a better film than Don't Look Up
It was a better film
in
than.
almost every way.
Do I think Spider-Man was a better film than this film? The answer is yes. I do.
Yes.
I understand why this film was nominated
Sure.
because it's the kind of like reflective, self-indulgent thing that wins awards.
Well, Guillermo Del Toro also won for Shape of Water, which is probably why he also, I think he won, didn't he?
I
Didn't he
do think
win
Shape of
for?
Water. I think Shape of Water won.
Yeah.
Let's just confirm. This is the confirmation song while we go confirm. Awards, Academy Award for Best Picture.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's probably why he was able to pull in a lot of the talent that he was able to get. I mean, if I were an actor, I'd probably want to ride that Oscar-winning train also.
I mean, he also won for Best Director, too.
Yeah. And he's made a lot of good movies.
Yeah, I was thinking about this when I was watching this movie. I think this might be the first Guillermo Del Toro movie I've seen.
Really?
Really?
Missing out on like Pan's Labyrinth?
Haven't seen it.
Oof.
You didn't see Shape of Water?
Nope. Skip
Oh,
that
wow.
episode when we talked about it.
Yeah.
He did Hellboys too, didn't he?
Did he do the Hellboys? Because that may be where he gets me.
Yeah, he did
think
Hellboy.
he did.
This director. Here we go. I don't want writer. I don't care about writer. Write all he wants. Oh, he did Pacific Rim.
That's right.
Ooh,
Hellboy and Pacific Rim. That's where he gets me.
Blade 2.
Oh, and Blade 2.
There it is.
Blade 2. Oh, with the one with Danny John Jules in it.
Nice.
God. So, anyway, so I don't have any particular thing for this guy.
I really like Shape of Water.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Shape of Water.
You and a lot of other people, apparently.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. Agree. So, I like the setting for like that the first act in the carnival, and that was fun. And I guess I kind of like the like I don't know what is that Art Deco style of all the places they were in the second act, but it was like a totally different movie. Like I switched into like Nightcrawler Noir. It just reminded me too much of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Yeah,
edit here.
it kind of pulled a Psycho where it took a character and just jumped his story right out of the movie that we were watching into a different one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, the places were pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the story also.
I don't think Bradley Cooper was very good.
Oh, really?
I found him to be incredibly boring. But also, I found most of the movie to be incredibly boring, so...
I'm trying to think about like his like payoff scenes. Were those the one? Because I agree that it was pretty dry in the movie, but like I think he was like blending in with what else was happening in the movie. Like we said, like the whole movie is kind of, I don't know, subtle. I'm trying to think of not the mean word to say because I don't think it was bad. It was slow. It was low key.
I mean, so was Shape of Water. I mean, they both have a slow burn to them, and they kind of meander around the main story by picking up on all these other characters and on how their stories are tangentially related to the main story. Like it felt a lot like that. like to the point where like they could be set in the same world, kind of in the oddity factor of everything, except that this one did lean very hard into reality. Like there wasn't anything that was that I didn't think couldn't be explained.
Yeah, there was no supernatural element to this movie.
No.
They teased it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess depending on your like belief structure on tarot cards, but like I don't.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
where I go.
I mean, one of the central themes of the movie is grifting people through supernatural, so I don't know that you can any supernatural shit that happens in the movie. Like I don't know that you can't just assume it's a grift.
Right. And it could just as likely be a grift of her planting those thoughts in his head that you're going to fuck this up. It's going to go badly for you. Because they were also very superstitious about don't do the spook show. Don't do that. That's not a good thing. This is gonna bite you in the ass.
That just feels like superstition born of this creates an endless amount of problems.
Yeah,
like logistical problems.
It does, but I mean, also you have a certain IQ factor that's going to take those logistical problems and relate it to we're messing with forces we shouldn't be. Yeah, you're messing with the fact that you're not going to be able to keep all these balls in the air. That's the thing that you're messing with, and you should stop doing that.
David Strathairn, there we go.
That's the guy.
Yep,
that was the last guy I couldn't remember. God, I really like that guy after he did Ashford on Expanse.
Yes.
Shit was so good. That was a character I did not like in the books.
He was great on the show, on the TV show.
He was amazing.
Like I think they made almost like a moral distinction between grifting a crowd of people and doing like this long con on people or individuals.
Sure.
They were impressed by it, but also that was kind of like I don't know, it seemed like less okay or more evil.
I think in terms of a performance, you have less individual responsibility than you do when you're like your dead children or they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That feels a bit.
Well, I think you nailed it in that it's the performance aspect as opposed to the lying and manipulating of a single individual. When you're performing for a crowd, you are playing the crowd. You are getting that group think to push the story and the flow of belief in one way or another. And if you get the crowd with you, the crowd's just going to and you may have some skeptics in there, but the skeptics can be won over by the crowd, as opposed to sitting a person down in a room and just lying to them and manipulating them based on knowledge you have that they don't know you have. That is a completely different ball game. And I think that is the distinction and where they're drawing the moral lines also. Plus, if you go to a carnival, there is the expectation of I'm going for a show.
Yeah.
When you're, I don't know, I always find things like mediums very unsavory. Like Julie watches some of the medium shows and I'm just like, this is complete horseshit. Like, and I'm sitting there pointing out every point, like why this is wrong. Like there's this one kid, I think it's Tyler Henry. And he's like this young, very, I'm pretty sure he's out, but flamboyant, gay, young man. And then, he meets people that it's like, I don't know who you are. And it was like, I don't know how, as a young gay man, you wouldn't know who that person is. Like, you live in Hollywood, you're around celebrities all the time. How do you not know who these people are? Like, you're just full of shit. Because, and then he'll start pulling up all these things about these people, and it's like, you know what? I bet I could find all that information in about 5 minutes. And Julie's like, oh yeah, but how would he know? He knows whose house he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
It takes all of about 5 minutes with Google to find out some of this stuff.
Yeah, you just
Oh,
prep your car ride.
you had a parent who died, or an uncle that you were close to who passed away, or
Yeah, they upset me as well, right? Because like our memories of dead people's like all we really got left, and now they're gonna mess with it in some way.
Yep.
Mhm.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Preying on the desperation of people who are grieving.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Romeo in agreement back there also?
Yeah. He's still grieving his sister.
Yep.
Hey, Romeo, she's dead. She's dead. If I yell it at him enough, he'll figure it out. He'll learn.
I think he's still in denial. He's in the denial phase still.
What do you want? Oh, are you hungry? Did I forget to feed you?
Uh-oh.
I have some friends who I think are like the modern day equivalent of such performers. They work for Renaissance fairs. They do that
All right.
circuit. And
Sure.
Okay.
Judas
I'll allow
and Magnolia, they're awesome. And they do a mentalism show, which is lots of fun. And they've done like seance shows also. But in all of them, they are very clear that this is for entertainment and we don't have magic. And this is a show and you can enjoy it.
Yep.
Which
Yeah,
I feel like
and-
is the responsible way to do that.
And in that environment, I think those are fun. Like, because I look at those the same way I look at any magician type show, illusionist type show. I'm trying to figure out how they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't always figure it out, but that's where I get my entertainment from, is trying to piece it together. Some people are just in for the ride, and that's fine too. I mean, that's what I like, going to the movies for the ride. I don't always sit there and like on a podcast dissect what I'm feeling about them. Sometimes I just want to enjoy the show. This one I did, but also it was slow. I mean, that's, for me, that was its biggest
Pain.
its biggest sin.
Yeah.
But like, the more I think back on Shape of Water, I think where I had the benefit of Shape of Water is I saw it in the theater, because I went to one of those Oscar movie marathon things, and I saw it in the theater in that. So a movie like this in a theater, when everything else is shut out, you're not flipping around on your phone or on Facebook or whatever.
Playing Baba Is You.
Playing Baba Is You. A lot of times the slow meandering movie, I get more involved in the cinematography and in the world, especially on a big screen. And a movie like this, I kind of wish I would have seen it on a big screen now, just because it was very pretty.
Yeah.
There's just a lot going on in the set design and the costumes, and like, it looked very lived in.
Yeah.
Even this, like the props, I guess, for lack of a better word, in the carnival show, like that 3-eyed baby thing in the jar.
Enoch.
Like, yeah, that looked real for that world. Like, it was clearly sewn together. It was clearly something somebody pieced together in a very gruesome way.
Gaff.
But it was a clever reinforcement of the central themes of the movie, that all of the supernatural shit is just made up.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also like two things stitched together.
Right. Yeah. Literally.
Uh,
Unsettlingly in a jar, always watching.
Yep.
mhm. Always watch.
Mhm.
I feel like if I had watched any like 30-minute slice of this movie, I would have enjoyed that bit, right? Because again, it had like these great production values, great costumes, good performances from these actors, but it was just a lot. It was two movies together, and I think either one of them would have been enough had they had like beginnings and ends. But like,
Yeah. And there's a time jump in the middle
mhm.
that felt really discordant. Like after the time jump, like things happen during the time jump, but we're just expected to believe that now Bradley Cooper is a huge asshole. And it's like, okay.
See, I don't think I don't think we're expected to believe it from there. I think he always was. He just hid it because out of necessity. I think he's kind of a Gaius Baltaring during the carnival stage where he's just
Baltar.
like he's like doing what he needs to do to survive. He's just full of shit. He's just better at it than some people, so he's able to get away with it. But he has to be because these people are used to being full of shit, so they'd see right through it if he was Baltar about it. Like,
Yeah, he
'cause-
spent, was it like 10 minutes before he said a line while he was like on screen? People were just
Like
talking to him.
11.
He would like agree and like do
Yeah.
a thing,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of cool. I thought maybe we were going to do a thing where that was a quirk of his where he just went along with stuff. But I think it was like you said, like he was letting them define his character.
As a side note, do you think we've lost something in filmmaking because we don't use real fire in scenes anymore?
Oh, all the digital flame effects.
Yeah,
from
and I'm
some
talking like
stuff.
TV, like
Mhm.
literally everything now. Like nobody burns anything anymore.
yeah.
Which I mean is probably better, but also always looks stupid. Like it's
Yeah.
always immediately apparent that that's not on fire.
Mhm.
But like that whole house burning scene was like, this looks terrible.
And I wonder if it will look bad in the future, right? Like, I remember Die Hard 3, the one with Sam Jackson. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's a scene where Bruce Willis is riding a dump truck through a pipe that is filling with water.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And I remember when I watched that originally, I was like, wow, what great effects. But now watching, I'm like, oh, that looks terrible. That's like
That
bad
does look
Photoshop.
terrible. Mm-hmm.
And like, will these flame effects, will these digital monsters, will these things look even worse like 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Because like you go back and you look at something that used puppets, they still look like puppets, so I love it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had like animated ghosts, now it's terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. To me, it's interesting to think of actors actually sitting around doing these things with nothing there to do them with. So, like, Bradley Cooper, pretend like the house is on fire. And then he looks around as though the room is on fire and walks out. Don't you feel stupid just standing in an empty room, pretending the room is on fire, Bradley Cooper?
It also seemed really weird. That scene specifically because the fire seemed to spread very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was in places that it was like, how did that fire get there so quickly? Isn't he worried about not being able to leave with how quick this place is going up if it's
Yeah.
really spreading that fast?
Well, did we ever see the real event? Was it always just flashback dreams?
I mean,
I-
it opens with it,
Yeah, it opens with him there
torching the place.
Oh, I thought that was still
dropping the body in the
dream
hole
sequence.
and then
Oh, sorry. I must not have like registered that.
yeah, that was right at the beginning.
Well, after 2.5 hours,
Fair enough.
the top review on IMDb for this is dull and dramatically inert.
Oh.
I mean, like, in terms of the story, I like this is probably a great book. I
Mhm.
know it's based on a book and is the second movie based on that book. Like it's probably a great book.
Like there was another movie named Nightmare Alley.
Yeah,
Based
based on the
on
same book.
when was that?
Like from the 40s.
Yeah, I was going to say that I knew there was a Nightmare Alley movie earlier. I wasn't sure. I didn't bother to look to see if that was if there was any relation to it.
Yeah, it's the
Oh yeah, director Edmund Goulding
mhm,
with Tyrone Power, Joan Blondell, and Colleen Gray.
names which are people, I assume.
hmm None of them mean anything to me, but that's
Yep.
exciting. Well, this guy's only 4 degrees from Kevin Bacon. Uh,
Aren't we all?
at this point, interesting.
Yeah, so like I'm sure the book is probably great because the movie feels like the like shit that would be in books about a dude's struggle to, you know, seize the power of the approval of his father and then take a place and then his fall and then whatever. But I don't want to watch a book, which is what this felt like. Dude, can you please be quiet? I want to throw you away.
So apparently there was also a black and white version of the movie released.
Ugh.
Oh wait, I think I had seen that. I
Vision
was
in
going
the
to look for it.
Nightmare Alley, Vision in Darkness and Light. It was released in selected cities in the
Why?
middle of January.
Ugh. There's nothing more bleak than the bleakest of months. Watching a black and white bleak movie for 2.5
This
hours.
movie, this movie in black and white would have been. It would have been something
Tough.
extra. It would have been. It would have been a whole lot extra.
You just look away from the screen as soon as you're done, the world fades back into color and you have a heart attack.
Oh, yeah, that'd be too much. Too much for me.
So, did anybody else feel like Willem Dafoe is just a carny the rest of the time when he's not acting?
Mhm.
Because, like, I feel like we just saw natural Willem Dafoe.
This is
Like,
his
this was his-
non-acting.
This was
Yeah.
his true self.
Yeah.
He showed us his true face.
Like, he is still a 1950s carny traveling around the country, and then he just, like, takes frequent breaks to shoot movies, and they just, like, caught up with him. Nomadland style.
He was just on SNL,
Mhm.
and he was all kinds of Willem Dafoe on that too.
Yeah.
It was really good, actually.
Yeah. I watched an interview with him about his career, and he is just all manner of Willem Dafoe.
Nice.
All manner. I don't know what the deal is with this animal. He's been making this noise at me all day.
So interestingly enough, I was looking up the book,
Mhm.
and it was not only adapted to this movie and the previous movie, but it was also a graphic novel in 2003 and a musical in
Oh my
2010.
Nice. Was the musical called Nightmare Alley?
It says the novel has been adapted into a musical, so I'm assuming that it was. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, so I'm following it to the article that was sourced, and it's Nightmare Alley is the name of the musical.
Nice.
Good lord.
So it looks like in looking at the book, one of the differences between them is that when they do that time jump and they're doing the mentalist show,
Mhm.
in the book he transforms into a different persona, and instead of being Stan, he's Reverend Carlisle doing a spiritualist preacher seance show.
Sure.
Sure.
But it looks like for the most part, most of the rest of it is sort of the same-ish. Looks like that was just the change they made there.
So, one thing I was not quite clear on in this movie. Did he intentionally kill Pete?
That was my thought.
Because I can't really work out why he would do that. Like, there's no real reason for him to do it.
Yeah. To take his place?
Yeah.
But he wasn't really doing anything. Because Tony Collette was doing most of the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe just out of... I mean, he and Tony Collette were already fucking, right?
I assume.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
I think they were
out of the way for that purpose either.
Like from the bath.
Yeah.
Like
Which
he walked
was
in and
the
like,
beginning.
Yeah, this is where you're going to need to get a bath. This is the building in the carnival where you can get a bath.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first thing he does is walk in there and bangs Tony Collette.
Yeah.
Right. She's like, "Would you like a bath? I'll wash that dick."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And almost immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really feel like Pete was in the way of that.
Yeah, I don't think Pete gave a shit because Pete was always drunk.
Yeah.
He was always drunk or on his way to getting drunk.
But I also have a hard time like seeing like after Willem Dafoe explained this box good drinking, this box bad drinking, but we did use identical bottles and lids.
And that were immediately adjacent to each other.
Yeah. Right. Right.
For a reason.
And so like it was obvious that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
But also like Bradley Cooper had like memorized this like language code for mentalism purposes. Like I didn't feel like he was gonna like mess up the details of it accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing that I can think of is that he was just trying to keep the knowledge sacred. Like, is this the rule of the Sith?
Well, yeah, because he wanted to read that little book, and Pete was like, "This you could use this for evil," and he was like, "I could. That'd be great." And then he got the book from doing that. Is that?
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he does.
Yeah.
But also, there's nothing interesting in the book is just codes, which he could literally just develop on his own.
Right.
Like once he tells him, he's like, "Oh, well, if you stress this word, then it means this." Like even without the book, you could just do that. You can just make up whatever you want in that list.
Right.
And it'll take you a few days. But also, it's the 1940s, so what the fuck? Or 50s, so what the fuck else are you doing?
Well, and Pete sort of made it out like the creation of this system was a big deal when he did it. Like it is like a weekend of sober.
Yeah.
Or something.
And our experts determined that is a lie. I think he just has a skewed idea of what productivity means while sober because he's always drunk.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that was a murder, an accident.
Yeah, so
I figure because either way, really.
Because later he cops to murdering him, and I couldn't tell if that was him actually murdering him, or if Kate Blanchett had just broken him down through their therapy sessions, and like was mentalisting him, and plucking all the guilt strings that he was obviously telegraphing for just about literally everything in his life.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure what the motive was, but it feels like he killed him.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna go Kate Blanchett style psychology. If Pete was like a father figure, and so this is, I mean, he's got daddy issues.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
And so this is a chance to murder another dad.
He's a young man. They all do.
Yep. Right? So maybe that's why he kills Pete. He had been his mentor and he just wants to like relive this murdering father figures thing he's got going.
Fantasy of murdering fathers.
Right? He seems to be a bit of a psychopath, but not caring if he hurts other people.
Yeah.
So he didn't seem particularly sadistic, though. He didn't seem to enjoy hurting people.
Yeah, and he has a weird relationship with the geek, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that's some of his first lines. It's when he approaches the runaway geek.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he ain't done nothing to me. I'm not going to blow the whistle on you.
Yeah. Which seems like the complete opposite of everything we see from him forever else. And maybe that's just his compassion for the unbridled human nature of the geek. I would throw this cat away. He's just been unruly.
So I looked up some stuff about people probably have watched the movie a couple times, just to get the take on the Stan Pete thing. And one of the things that this person is saying is that Pete would only like trickle the information to him.
Okay.
And Stan wanted to know more of it. He tried to get him drunk and take the book, and Pete caught him and said, "Get the fuck out." And then Stan was like, "You know what? I need to know what's in there." And so he was the one who gave him the wood alcohol, but it looks like he just implies that he killed him. Like there's no other real like motive beyond that, or proof beyond that. But they're saying in Edmund Gouling's film, which I'm guessing is the first one, that Stan confesses he accidentally handed him the wood alcohol. Like he did it, but it was an accident. But that was at some point a confession, I guess. Without seeing the movie, I'm not sure exactly what the context of the confession was. It was probably at the end.
It just seems like a weird thing to do. Like, we've already seen him... Murder is not the right word, but, like, we've already seen him drop a body and then burn it in a way that makes you think that he definitely murdered that person.
Yeah.
So, you know, you already kind of feel like this guy's killed somebody. So, and like through Pete hammers that guilt string too. So like you already know it was his dad. But it doesn't make any sense for him to have murdered that guy. At least not. Oh, here we go, Tony.
I read more. This person went off the deep end quick.
Ooh, my favorite.
And this is under the title of "What Did Pete's Character Symbolize?"
Oh,
all right.
Oh boy.
So strap in, boys. We're going for a ride.
If it's not sexual dysfunction, I don't want to hear it.
If Stan was an archetype of Icarus, then Pete definitely portrayed his father, Daedalus. the great inventor of the labyrinth.
Sure.
Pete, like a father figure, warned Stan that the Book of Codes could be misused. He hinted that the act of mentalism and spooky shows to trick people was a labyrinth of lies that could trick a man into believing he had power equal to God's.
Are we back in Pan's Labyrinth?
Hubris. Hubris was his downfall.
Yeah. Stan fell into the labyrinth when he started doing spooky acts for money and encountered Judge Charles Kimball and his wife Felicia. Stan made them believe that he could talk to Julian's spirit, gave them hope. Stan thought he was helping the parents by giving them false hope and curing them of their pain, but in reality, his act of playing God backfired against his will, and Felicia shot Charles and herself to reunite with Julian sooner.
Would have been interesting to know his reaction to finding out that. Like, I don't think we see Stan find that out. Like, would he have felt bad? We're going, man, should have taken him for more.
Right? Yeah, I don't know if Stan would have had much of a reaction to it.
Yeah.
I imagine he would have just written off a justification of like, yeah, that should have helped them, but they were clearly, they were clearly fucked up individuals. So nothing I could have done would have helped them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would have had to have been anyone else would have had to make a leap to understand that that's what would have caused it, unless she wrote it out. Like, this is the reason I'm doing this. Right. Like, nobody would have known the motivation behind it. I mean, because she literally just, like, what was that, like, over breakfast, just shot him and then put the bullet into her eye.
Yeah, right through the eye. Weird choice.
Yeah, that was solid, though. She had done some research, because
a lot of eye themes.
Mm-hmm. And Window of the Soul. But they seem to be religious people. I thought religious people thought that suicide was not a reunite you with people way to go.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what sect of the religion they were in to know what the belief structure was. I mean, I know what I was taught in Catholicism, but beyond that, I have a pretty limited view.
Yeah. If you murder suicide, you go straight to heaven.
Yeah,
exactly what
clearly.
I was taught to.
Maybe if you're 5. You still get away with anything when you're 5.
Well, if you suicide first, then at least you're not killing somebody else. Then it's just purgatory.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this could have been. It felt like a 2.5-hour book.
Yeah. Something else I thought was inexplicable in the movie was Stan's trust of Cate Blanchett. Right? Like, he just gave her a bunch of money. Keep this in your safe. Under the pretense of, I don't want my wife, who does everything I say, to find out. That didn't read like plausible to me.
Also, you got that much money, just go buy a safe.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
Or go to a bank, or
Right. How much was a safe in 1941? Because he's getting like $10,000 a session.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of 1941 money.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Rockefeller rich, but he's up there.
That polygraph scene was frustrating.
In which bits? Just that they used a polygraph?
One, that they used a polygraph, but then immediately disregarded the results of the polygraph they decided to use.
Oh, they decided like his performance was was more true than the polygraph, and so the polygraph must have not been calibrated correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Why go through the exercise?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So, out of curiosity, $10,000 from 1941 would be worth 190,000, give or take, $190,000 today.
All right. That's not like fuck you money.
190,000 a session?
Yeah, right.
That's
a session.
yeah,
that's per
he was doing
session.
lots of those.
Yeah, we're going to give you $10,000 per session. Was the offer.
That's my going sex rate.
I mean,
It's a
isn't
high
that the
class
discounted
gigolo.
rate?
I just need $10,000, but they have to all be from 1941.
Yeah. They have to have been minted prior to.
Mm-hmm.
You heard that right, Libby.
Yeah, it was $10,000.
In 1941 money.
Yes. That is correct. And I remember reading, and maybe it was from a trivia night, about like the polygraph being connected to Wonder Woman.
Yes.
They share the same creator.
Yep, they do.
This is lasso of truth business.
Yeah. That guy had all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
He's handed many pies.
Gross. Yeah, so that was another inexplicable scene. I agree.
Do you think the movie would have been improved if we had gotten in any of the many minutes I believe could have been cut from 2.5 hours any amount of backstory about his dad?
I don't think so.
Did you get everything that you wanted from the 30-second clip of him watching him die?
I think I got enough to know that it didn't matter. That there was something he wanted from his father being dead, and he killed him.
Mm-hmm. That his dad was an alcoholic, and that there may have been other trauma in his childhood, but like alcoholic dad was maybe enough. And like, because this dude was like, I'm not going to touch alcohol, but then clearly was like an alcoholic once he started, right? Which makes perfect sense. So like, you know,
I mean, it could have been why he killed Pete too. If you saw him as a father and an alcoholic, and you're just gonna, you know, you're keeping some great secret from me. And so,
I mean, that relationship was clearly pretty edible, like, because he was banging the shit out of Toni Collette.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I heard edible.
Edible.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of weed in this movie,
right?
So.
These like fruity pebble cubes. It's the best.
Yeah. Why? That, you know, I should have caught on when Cheech and Chong showed up.
They would have fit right in these carnival scenes.
They would have. Yeah.
Right. Might as well.
You just have two random dudes like with the mallets hammering in a tent peg in the back, and it's just those two.
I think I saw a TikTok with them the other day.
Yeah, I did see a TikTok with them the other day.
Yeah.
And so I looked away because I was playing Papa Is You after I determined 15 minutes into this movie that it was going to be a while before I had to pay attention to something. So I only caught a flash of this. But did Toni Collette have like webbed feet? Was that a thing?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Because as he gets into the bathtub and does his full dick scene, she like cracks her feet on the floor and puts her foot back in the slipper, but like it looks weird. There was something weird about it, and I'm like, I'm not going back.
I
I remember
notice.
when
I
he
didn't
was
look. So
when he's like going toward the tub, she kicks off her shoes, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna dip her toe in the water.
yeah, that's
Is
what I
what I
gathered.
thought,
Mhm.
but it didn't. I'm just gonna look Tony Collette web feet Nightmare Alley. Well, I mean, surely the internet has pictures of famous women's feet.
Yeah, that's not a thing the internet has.
Uh,
I'm sure they don't have whole websites where they rate women by their feet.
um,
Nope, I don't see anything about this.
man,
I
yeah.
must have just been hallucinating. Maybe I've just got a webbed feet thing, and
I wonder, like again, like as soon as she took her shoes off, I'm like, oh, they're fucking. But like, I wonder why that. What about the way that was shot? What about that like trips that like knowledge from me?
Hmm.
Right? Like, why is taking her shoes off the thing that makes me be like, now I know what's happening here,
Well, I mean, because it was all about the water.
right?
Going back to the water.
But she didn't put her feet on his dick. She just grabbed it.
Yeah, well, that's. I think the assumption's there, though. She did take her shoes off.
yeah,
We didn't see the rest of the intercourse. I'm sure there was some
Some
foot on.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's wrap her toes right around.
F2D.
Yep, sure.
All right, so let me ask you this, David. What would you have cut from the movie?
Mm.
Because, I mean, I think there was some stuff that could have been trimmed for pacing, but I don't like in thinking back. I don't know that. I think if you start cutting things, you have to cut big chunks of the story.
Rooney Mara.
Oh, poor Rooney Mara.
I think she's used as a crutch in the second act. Like, we need somebody for him to be an asshole to, and so like it's just an easy thing for that. But I think if you get rid of her and just have most of his stuff solo,
But he needs a
Well,
partner to do the
he
show.
does need a partner to do the show.
And like she also, I think makes him look worse by not wanting to do the things, right? Like to contrast against his, callousness.
Well, she's got the moral compass from the carnival show. Like they bring a certain morality with them, and she tries to carry that forward
Mm-hmm.
into the mentalist show in the ballrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just having none of that. And I think having her there as a reminder to him of, hey, we can still go back from this. We don't have to keep going down this road. We're doing all right, but it's not what he wants. He wants all the power.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those people are going to show back up for the second act?
Mm-hmm. And it sort of reminds me back of his line in the Carney camp of, if it's not good enough for me, it's not good enough for you. Like he definitely thinks he deserves better in this world than what he's got.
Right.
Maybe Ron Perlman?
Loath to take Ron Perlman out of anything, but you're right. He didn't really add much to it.
Nope. Like there was that entire plot with her dad, like him being friends with her dad, and I'm not sure why that was a thing. Like, is that what makes him want to leave when Ron Perlman beats the shit out of him?
Well, they were already
so. Well, I think it's
I
think it's more of it's the push to leave sooner. Because now somebody's actually watching what he's doing. So he's got Rooney Mara snowed. He's got Tony Collette snowed. But Ron Perlman, I can see right through you and your swinging dick, boy. Like I know what you're after, and it better not be her.
What do you mean he's got them snowed?
Like, he knows what he's doing, but they don't. Like, he's playing them.
They like him, and he's bad.
Oh.
And they're not bad, right? It'd be different if they were also bad, right? And like now they're going to be a power bad couple, but that's not it.
Right. Not like when we see Kate Blanchett show up.
Power bad couple.
That's a power bad couple, sure. But
Right.
like, hold on, are you implying that Toni Collette is somehow not bad in this scenario?
I think she is not. I think she is. Yeah, I'm going to say she's not bad. She is performing in the Mentalist shows, and she is bad in that she's cheating.
Well, how about this maybe thing at the act change when she hands him the book, she's like, "You earned it." I mean,
okay.
Did she want this wood alcohol thing to go down? Was this a conspiracy? Was she like, "Hey, will you murder this Pete for me?"
He was dragging her down.
Mm-hmm. He was screwing up the act.
He was screwing up the act. He wasn't present as a partner in pretty much anything.
Were they together?
They were together in the act.
Yeah, and I couldn't quite figure out if they were like
a couple.
Yeah,
but they've been together for decades.
It felt like they were. Like in that first scene we see them together, it feels like they are.
I mean, could just very well have passed out in that bed.
He could have. Yep.
He says sweet things to her.
He could have passed out anywhere, considering how drunk he stayed.
Also true.
He does pass out in many places.
He passes out in the middle of an act.
And then passes out and dies in the middle of the street.
And she does say she's bad news just before she grabs Stan's dick.
Yeah.
They all do, though, Mitch. That's
sure.
They all do.
So, yeah.
Is that not how sex starts?
Okay, so I'm going to roll back that maybe he doesn't have her snowed so much, but he definitely has Molly snowed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll accept that. But I feel like Toni Collette knows what the deal is.
She's a little savvy.
Yeah.
Because she's also a grifter.
Maybe she doesn't know quite how bad he is.
Maybe she just thinks he's going to be a better partner. She can elevate her show. Because, I mean, it is... I think she even says something about it being her show.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to roll that back because it doesn't do anything to my point about Ron Perlman.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because he's really there to protect Molly. I think that's his motivation for everything that he does. Beating the shit out of him, coming after him at the end. At the end of his time in Act 1, at least. Yeah. But I think he then becomes the motivation to leave before somebody can sour Molly on the fact that he's pulled one over on her and will continue to until, however many years. Was it 5 years later?
I think just 2.
Was it only 2? I must have been watching something else that was 5 years later.
Because I think in the first bit, Hitler invades Poland. 1941 later.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't watching that. All right.
Well, I'm pretty sure Card says 2 years later too.
I think so. I think it does. But I think 2 years later, Molly is too far in and feels trapped to the point where she can't really just leave.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I think she's at the beginning of that period. I think she still feels like maybe she can pull him back from the edge. She can fix him.
Sure. It can be like it was in the beginning.
Right.
Back
Turns
in the
out
good old days of being circus people.
Turns out it was exactly that same way. He's just always full of shit and an asshole.
I feel like if you just started the movie at the 2 years later, right, is okay. Like all the stuff before that's like important to have happened, but I don't know it was important to have seen happen. I liked it because I like that aesthetic and I like all those bits. But if you were trying to cut it down, right, that technically is all exposition up then.
Could you get away cutting the second half?
And just have the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
It's just not a good like payoff for anything.
I mean, the payoff is he kills David Strathairn.
Yeah.
Strathairn.
Maybe.
His surrogate father.
If you could turn that into something.
I think the way you turn that into something is you give more backstory through his. I think you could make that a movie. I think you start it in the same place, have him go into the carnival at the same place, and then just expand his time at the carnival because they did shortcut a lot of that time. There were some time jumps within that. I think you just live in that space more, but then have him flash back to the traumas that he endured from his father, and then you make something directly tie something David Strathairn says or does that reminds him specifically of something that we see his dad say or do in one of these flashbacks. Then when he kills him, there's a catharsis for the character, but then you'd also have to make sure that David Strathairn did something truly egregious to make it not just like it would have to then be like, oh, you killed this bad person, but also you're exercising your personal demons. Yeah. Like it completely changes everything that the movie's about. And I don't know that Guillermo Del Toro makes that movie because that's not the stories he's interested in talking about.
No.
He's interested in talking about the monsters.
Oh, you could have paid it off that way, right? Like he kills Pete, gets the book, and the book has real secrets, and now he accidentally animates Enoch, the three-eyed baby.
Oh.
Who eats a geek. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how you pay off monsters, but you could do something like supernatural and dark.
That baby was an unfired gun.
I mean, yeah. Well, the other thing I think the way you make it a Del Toro movie is you make the geek be the victim of David Strathairn at some point that makes him become the geek. And the monster of the geek is actually the tragic victim of the story. And I think that's the way you make it a Del Toro movie, because that really fits his. I mean, you're a lot remaking Shape of Water at that point.
Well, and I kind of feel like that is our final scene, right? When Stan realizes that he's got this new temporary gig.
Yeah.
And it's like, the job I was born to do, because he was always a monster on the inside.
Yep.
And now he gets to be the monster on the outside too.
Yep.
But they weren't monsters.
The rest of them weren't. That's why it's only temporary.
Right.
They weren't supposed to do it. Stan. He's a monster. Because he walks into being a geek willingly.
I mean, they all do.
Well, they get coerced, right? They don't know they're getting opium in their beer. That's what Willem Dafoe said, right? You sneak a drop of this in. Right? But because Stan knows that's how this happens, like he knows what's going on in that recruitment pitch. That's what I thought.
No, that's good thinking. So,
who was that? Who was the replacement Willem Dafoe? He was from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah, he was Delmer.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot he doesn't have his accent.
Yeah. We thought you was a toad. Yeah, that guy.
We
Yeah, he was a fine replacement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what the hell's that guy's name? Tim Blake Nelson.
That's the guy.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
That was a fun one too.
That wasn't fun.
Uh-huh.
So I think it would have been probably a little bit too over the top, but I think it would have been interesting to have Bradley Cooper playing the geek in the beginning.
Oh, to like the full circle it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a loop at that point.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just living in that loop. And that's, I mean, at that point you make it a hell loop also.
It's like getting Ethan Hawke to be his own grandpa.
Yeah.
What's that movie? Time travel movie.
Yeah.
Predestination.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, forget I said anything and then go watch it.
All right.
The guy who played the original geek is not anybody. Is somebody who is in a bunch of stuff I've never seen before, which is disappointing. I thought it was going to be someone cool but nope.
No.
So let's see who all in this movie is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Bradley Cooper is Rocket. Willem Dafoe is Green Goblin. Kate Blanchett, she was
He was in Thor.
Uh-huh. Right.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Toni Collette and Rooney Mara have been in Marvel movies yet.
Nope.
What else? Mary Steenburgen, was she in one of these Fantastic Fours? What? You know? She done a thing? Is Hellboy a Marvel property?
It is not.
Oh.
It's an independent. It's Dark Horse.
You're Dark Horse. Got him. I think that's it.
Okay. I think that would be the new way I will evaluate movies is how many of the cast are also in the MCU.
Speaking of MCU, I may be calling on you boys in the next 24 hours. I was asked to, with very short notice, write trivia questions for a trivia night that is happening this Saturday. And they want MCU trivia. So I need a spread of trivia questions that are, range from the gimmies that everybody can get to some special kind of knowledge to really get some of, and then some middle of the road stuff. Like I like balancing out a round of trivia questions.
Mm-hmm.
So
you could get the folks from the MCU that have also had music. Like you could name that tune with MCU performers, right?
Yep.
Brie Larson, Donald Glover. A handful of them have been in like big songs.
One of the easy ones that I was thinking of is what are the last names of the three major Chris's that play heroes in the MCU?
Mm-hmm.
That one's pretty easy. But it's a nice gimme because it's like it makes people think. Like it feels like an accomplishment because you're doing three of them.
Yeah.
You could do ones where people are reunited outside the MCU.
Yeah. That's a good one too.
There's lots of that.
So I may be running some questions past you guys. Just
sure.
Get rate, easy, medium, hard.
Yeah. Find the community stars.
Yeah, because they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there were any of the other actors that showed up in, because there's a there are a few people that show up in MCU movies that like you only see them for a minute or two.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, that's right, that person was on that.
Well, in my MCU rewatch with my kids, the teacher from Spider Martin Starr
Yep.
Oh yeah.
was in Hulk as like a computer tech.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's
I
funny. I
think
didn't notice that.
unnamed computer tech. So in the canon, I believe that he, after the Hulk incident, quits, goes back to grad school, and then becomes a English teacher.
You know what? That would actually be a really great twist. Yeah, like a little story in there.
Mhm.
I like the prosthetics and makeup they had on Richard Jenkins. Like, because it took
Mhm.
me a minute to recognize him.
Yeah. That big old beard.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
especially considering he was such a big part of Shape of Water. Like to see him here, it's like, oh yeah, that is him. But I didn't recognize him straight away. It wasn't until he started talking then I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly who that is.
I love that guy. He's done so much good stuff.
Yeah.
And he and Mary,
Virgin.
Steenburgen.
yep, they were both in Step Brothers, which I also watched this week.
Uh-huh.
So I showed my children, and they were very excited. They're like, "Oh, this is why you say this all the time?" I'm like, "Yes."
I don't know that I have
Yes.
anything else to talk about with this movie.
It was real long,
So long.
and I thought the twist payoff was like so obvious going to be a thing for so long that it was not at all a surprise. It was telegraphed by tarot cards, by theming, by behaviors, that it's just like, okay. I mean, I knew things were going to go bad. And then we just did all the bad things for this guy. I guess I didn't dislike him enough to be excited for the bad things happening to him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was still moderately attracted to Bradley Cooper. So it hadn't quite gotten there yet for me to hate him. And maybe it's because of like what you said, David. Like he was just so bland about it that I wasn't mad at him. Like I feel like I could have been. And because Richard Jenkins' character was so awful,
Yeah.
I didn't feel bad that he was getting grifted.
Yeah. Yeah, they really that last scene there really took a turn.
Yeah, in the garden.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to feel right now.
Well, and I kind of thought so. There's a scene in the carnival where Molly says, "Never went all the way with a boy before." Well, not willingly.
Yeah.
And when Richard Jenkins says that he used to abuse young women that reminded him of this person, which Molly looks just like, made me think like, wait, was he the one who did this? He's just going to recognize her? Or is she going to recognize him? But like that didn't pay off. It didn't seem to mean anything.
No. The other thing that I thought was an odd payoff, just because I thought it would have paid off bigger at the end, was her being involved in the electricity show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
Like it had a payoff that felt like, oh, we're just like, this is when we use the superpower to show that we have it, like to show effectively how it can be used. So there's a big payoff at the end when we really use the superpower, you know? And it was like, I thought it could have been interesting to have it show up again. But it was like, no, that was all the payoff we wanted from it. Like,
Mhm.
we're there and done.
We're done with this now.
Yeah.
I
I
can
don't
take
even
a
remember
lot,
what happened. I don't even remember what happened to her at the end of the movie. They just go their separate ways.
Yeah, she just leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I have no memory of that scene happening.
It was after he runs over the dude.
Yeah, and then they drive away, and then
Yeah.
do they even have a scene there, or does she just disappear?
He leaves her right when he goes to the psychologist's office.
There was
And, like,
something else happened.
He's like busting up the car. They'll just think it was stolen.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. They pull over, he busts up the car and he torches it. He's like, "Oh, they'll think it's stolen." And she's just like, "What the entire fuck just happened?" Like, that's when she's just like, "I knew you were bad, but I didn't know you were this bad."
Mm-hmm.
And it like that's it, and she just walks.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And that's it.
Yeah, because
And
then
that's the
he
end of
has
her
like
story.
we follow him.
Which at that point it's like, good for you for finally getting out. I mean, way late, but I mean, good for
It
you.
only took 4 murders, or I guess 3 murders and a suicide.
And like, I guess I just would have assumed that she would go back to the carnival with Ron Perlman.
That's
Like, she
what.
doesn't have anyone else.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed too. But then there is the implication that carnival doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We don't know how long Bradley Cooper is being a hobo.
True. That's true.
He's drinking and riding the rails because we see him full beard and stuff. So some time has passed.
Yeah.
Before he tries to go back to the carnival and it's under new management.
Yeah.
With Delmer. Was that his name? Yeah. So.
Then you're too dirty for the carnival.
Well, and I guess too, the carnival's in the beginning, the carnival's somewhere else, and then it merges up with this like fixed location one. So it's possible that when Bradley Cooper shows back up, they're just out touring.
That could be.
But then he's also got the baby in the jar.
He does, right? It is. And that he said he bought from another guy, and his radio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which
so it feels like the same place.
We could have cut the radio. That's something we could have cut for time. It paid off, but not in a big way.
Yeah. Did it pay off? It was just there.
That's what it was doing first, and then it also was just there at the end. Like it did its job twice.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah, very long.
I liked it. I did like it, and I probably will watch it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
because I liked it, but like I don't know that I have time to watch it again. Maybe I'll watch it at 2x speed. That might make it.
So, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Mitch, you said you didn't feel like the twist paid off.
Yeah,
I didn't see it as a twist.
Oh, okay. I just meant
so for me, yeah,
like backstab.
Yeah, like you're talking about Cate Blanchett's backstab?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Even that, I never felt like that was a backstab. It felt like
a front stab.
She made no bones about the fact that she was not a great person. Like, I'm going to invite you in to review my confidential tapes so that you can grift people. Mm-hmm. Like, they're bad people. I can't do anything about it except continue to treat them and take their money, but you can take more of their money this way. Like, she was not a good person.
Right.
And I think she was analyzing him the whole time and knew how to, and like, she was as much a grifter as he was. And was better at it than he was, because I don't feel like he realized he was being grifted until he got grifted.
I'll tell you, that's because she had a PhD.
Oh, that's true. There you go.
That's how that degree pays off for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like a PhD worm tongue would supersede my associate's degree worm tongue any day of the week.
That is a Dr. Wormtongue.
I am just an associate of science worm tongue.
Yeah.
Learn my worm tonguing on the mean streets.
Look gross.
Why is it always like this?
Yeah, so I guess you're right. Like, she totally said she was bad, but like, it's also supposed to feel like a comeuppance. Maybe the bit that could have been surprising that she did all of it because he made her feel bad. He humiliated her in public because it seemed like she had held on to that.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That, and like, I didn't feel like his downfall. I felt like we were just watching that slow moving train. Like, I don't feel like that, like him getting the rug pulled out from under him and having this fall from grace. Like, I felt like that was the ride I was always supposed to be on. Like, this is a bad dude who's gonna get something bad happen to him. And with that, I felt satisfied with the conclusion that we came to, even though it was a well telegraphed conclusion. Like, it felt like I never felt surprised when he shows back up at the carnival again. It's like, all right, he's going to be the geek. You know, I just had that sense about it. Like, in that way that in a mystery, when you figure it out before the reveal, like, I don't ever feel cheated by that. I feel like it was well written and led me to that place, so that if I wanted to and was paying attention, I could get that joy of solving the mystery at a similar time to the hero. So this was like, this is just a bad dude doing bad dude things, and you're gonna want to see him fall on his ass.
Yeah,
and
I
on
guess
his ass, and then his face.
Yeah,
and it's Bradley Cooper's face, so that hurts a lot more than his ass.
That's not America's face.
It's America's face or America's ass.
I guess. So I felt like a lot of the movie, especially that second act, felt a lot to me like the movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, right? Because it's a guy who like stumbles into this way to make money, a guy with no moral compass, without ethics, stumbles into this way to make money and then does it and hurts a bunch of people. But like Nightcrawler, I mean, he's just evil and successful, right? Which to me seems more like the world I live in. Like, bad people don't get comeuppance, like,
right?
So maybe that's why the way this sort of ends, I'm like, okay, because like I know that's how stories end. I know that's what we like in movies, but also it just feels like
that's not how it works.
Yeah, kind of like as hollow as other things. Like I guess I do want to see a bad guy, but I didn't feel like he was real bad. He was a little bad, but because the person who was grifting was so much worse, and like the thing that the bad person who got him was also bad. Like Cate Blanchett was also a bad person. Like it wasn't like particularly like satisfying in a way to see that play out at the end.
Well, I think for me it was the way he accidentally, or whether he manslaughtered or murdered David Strathairn.
Sure.
There's arguments both ways. And then what he did with Mary Steenburgen and her husband.
Yeah, sure.
Those are bad things. Those were really bad things. And so yeah, so he was also using his evil against evil,
Mm-hmm.
but he was still a bad dude.
Yeah,
Like I
but I think you can make that same argument about Kate Blanchett. Like she was using her evil against him.
yeah, and against those other people.
Yes,
But
via him.
also
Via him.
yeah, but also she did it to that couple.
Right.
So like she's complicit in that also.
It's just a bunch of bad folk here.
Yeah.
So like the doling out of punishment. Just not. I mean, it's fine. I think on average, I like this movie, and like the line I said before, like any given slice of it, I enjoyed it for that time.
Sure.
There's just a lot of it.
Yeah.
I like a slice of pie. This is a lot of
But
pie.
I liked it. I liked it, so I liked that there was a lot of it to enjoy. I mean, I don't know. I liked it. I can absolutely understand why you guys didn't and why you thought it was too long.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
my enjoyment of it, I wanted more. So for me, it wasn't. I didn't see it as being overly long.
well, I guess the sort of I don't know what it is, the subtlety or downplaying of things. Like his evil wasn't standout against the other stuff. His punishment wasn't standout. Like it was muted. And I think it was by performance and by style and by writing. Like that was a theme throughout it. Like
Mhm.
it would have been weird also. So again, like what you asked, like what would you cut? I don't know. What would you change? I'm not sure. Right? Like again, I liked it, but I don't know that it's something that I'm going to remember in the future. Right?
Yeah.
Like I liked everything I saw when I watched Independence Day. But
Oh,
like
really?
the movie that I remember from that weekend is Seven. Like that meant a lot more to me.
Sure.
Right? So I feel like this movie has a lot of stuff that I probably won't carry with me. I'll remember that it was like Nightcrawler and it was like Carnival.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I like both of those things too.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough Clancy Brown.
I love Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown would have fit right in on this in the carnival scenes there.
Or Clea Duvall.
Yeah.
It's a show cut short in its prime.
Sure was.
Although I guess I read the prospectus or whatever the guy's plans were, and I'm like, oh no, maybe this was a good
Yeah, I heard like after it, like the point where it ended, that things were going to go really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember just seeing a little bit of it. And I was like, oh, that would have been really weird.
I kind of felt the same thing about that show they canceled, Lovecraft Country, right? Because I really liked its first season, and it's canceled to like everyone's upset. But then like I read what their plan was for season 2, I'm like, oh no, I see why they canceled this.
I never watched it.
Oh,
I'm not a fan of Lovecraft or the Lovecraft, and it's not. There are reasons to hate the man.
Sure.
I don't like the stories.
It's not. I'm not sure that there's a connection.
Yeah.
I know, but then I've heard like the Lovecraft monsters show up, and that's just something I just don't.
Even that, it's like American Horror Story, but good. There's like a variety of horror vignettes of different style, like episode to episode, that has kind of a loosely conceived of thread running between them. But it's to get these cool like sci-fi horror, Asian horror. Like, I mean, it does like different like horror things episode to episode, and it's like it's fun. I like
the first episode. I think is the best episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then I rapidly lost interest after the first episode because the first episode is incredible because it's Americana horror.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and it's fucking tense too. The last
They do some.
they do
And they do a lot of weird stuff. Time travel. It's got a bunch of
I
elements.
did not get to that.
Oh,
I have started rewatching X-Men.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
That one.
nice.
Oh man. So I have a weird history with that because I was reading the comic books at the time,
hmm
Sexual history.
and I was a little bit offended by the comic book or the cartoon because they took a lot of weird liberties that I thought from the comics. Then I'm rewatching it, and then you take that aside, and there's a lot going on there that's not great. I'm only like 5 episodes in, but
Do you mean not great writing?
writing, voice acting, the art style isn't spectacular.
I
But
mean, it's difficult to say that it was all spectacular the entire run through. Like, that opening song is amazing,
mhm.
is what you hear from most people.
Yeah. But I'm going to give it a watch through just because from what I understand, they're going to pick up on threads that they left at the end of season 5. They did 5 seasons. At the end of season 5 when they stopped producing episodes in 96. So
Okay.
like I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to play that out and hopefully have like I mean I don't know what the storytelling turns like because I don't remember past the first season. I think I only watched the first season of it, so I don't know if it got better or not.
Hmm. I guess I also don't have much more memory other than the opening theme,
Yeah,
and that like this vague sense that I liked that show.
yeah. Like the crazy thing is I watched that opening intro again, and it was like I remembered beat for beat that
hmm
like the images that I saw during that opening thing. Uh, well, I know I had watched the first couple of episodes a couple of times. Because like I had a VCR that I recorded them onto tape and then rewatched them. Um, so like the whole I go where I want to go Wolverine, like
hmm
it just made me laugh because it was just hilarious. Like this is what we're going to get away with saying for this character.
hmm
There was nothing he ever said in the comic books, but like, all right, we're going to shortcut all of his character with that line.
I watched a couple episodes of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh yeah.
Whew, that was fun. The weird thing is, I think Bobby Iceman is voiced by Frank Welker, by Fred from Scooby Doo. Because like
Really?
that's all I hear. Like when I'm watching the show, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I remember when that was on.
I mean, it is very 100% of its time and moment. But like, I was watching one where they had Doctor Doom summoning some ancient power of like wish fulfillment, and it just the medallion that grants those powers lands on some schlubby dude who like uses it to like make bullies like his personal valet, and he summons a cat to become his best friend, which was the best part of the whole show.
I'm on board for that.
hmm And I was very happy that when he loses these powers and all that is undone, the cat remains. We didn't undo the cat.
Nice.
As is right
hmm
and good.
See, the only other thing I've watched recently that was noteworthy is I finally got around to watching Scenes from a Marriage.
Mm.
It was on HBO. It was 5 episodes. It's Oscar Isaacs and Jessica Chastain,
hmm
and they play a married couple. And like they are going through a marriage that is in a very swift downward spiral. So there's a lot of really intense conversations. It's very well acted. It's very well written. But I don't know everyone's personal history with relationships. If you have rocky relationships in your history, there's probably stuff in there that will come back at you while watching it, because it's
back at you.
like it's intense. Like some of the stuff that they go through as a couple is it's bad. But it was actually a really enjoyable watch to see those two perform. And they did something fun at the beginning of the first two episodes. Like the first one, you see just Jessica Chastain walking through like this building, and everybody else is wearing masks. And then she like walks up and sits down, and she's like holding some stuff, and she puts it down. They say action, and that's where the episode starts. Like it's Jessica Chastain all the way up to that moment, and then she's in character.
Oh, that's fun.
And they did the same thing with the second episode, starting with Oscar Isaacs. And the very end of the last episode, the two of them leave their scene together and like walk back to their respective dressing rooms. So that was actually like, I'd never seen anything like that, or at least didn't remember seeing anything like that in a long time, if ever. So that was actually kind of clever. I dug that.
That's nice and weird.
So I do recommend it as something to watch, but it's also very short. It's only 5 episodes.
Great.
I got nothing else to talk about.
Yep.
Unless you guys. All right.
Next
Let's
week,
call it
Werewolves Within.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Catch you guys later.
Yep. So.
Bye.